I'll take the luxury condo and the husband. We're going to enjoy our newlywed life, so you better get out of here fast. Seeing the betrayal of my beloved husband and my dear friend, I was dumbfounded. The two of them were laughing at me with contempt. I had turned a blind eye until now, but I can't take it anymore. Moreover, they are both greatly mistaken. Especially Kristen, who thinks she has stolen Nathan. I was trembling, clutching my stomach. No, she's crying, Nathan, that's so mean. Can't help it, right? Hey, stop crying and don't show that ugly face. Thinking that I was devastated and crying, they were confused to see me laughing. The condo is in my name. And I won't forgive being ridiculed like this. It's time to fight back. My name is Sherry Holmes, 40 years old. I live with my husband Nathan. Baking Western-style confections is my hobby. I once dreamed of becoming a pastry chef and trained under a professional. But I realized the harshness of the pastry world and gave up on that dream. However, my interest in baking never faded, and I continued to bake on weekends. While researching at a nearby patisserie, there was Nathan working as a pastry chef. I fell in love with his chocolate cake and started to write thank you notes on the survey forms. I prefer the not too sweet, bitter flavor of the chocolate. Thank you always for the delicious cakes. I am naturally introverted and find it hard to interact with people. It's hard for me to initiate conversations, and I can only express my feelings through writing. Nathan would smile and talk to me. You're the one who always comes to eat my cakes, right? Your surveys are really encouraging. With his sunny smile, our relationship quickly deepened. As both of us were interested in sweets, we began to talk more. We started going out under the guise of cake research. And our relationship turned into a romantic one. You really understand me. I love you. He proposed with these words and a ring. I accepted Nathan's proposal. My parents were delighted, especially my father who really liked Nathan. Instead of a wedding ceremony, my parents gifted us a luxury condo as a wedding present. Nathan opened his own patisserie and showcased his talent. I'm not good at dealing with the finances of the shop, I'll leave that to you. So I took on the accounting. Being involved with Nathan's shop reminded me of my pastry training days. Although I had given up once, it would be a waste not to use my experience in sweets making. I added a kitchen to one of the empty rooms in our condo and started hosting baking classes. Customers began to visit, and sometimes I discussed cake making with Nathan. The sweet smell always filled our home, and at first, those were very happy days. However, after 10 years of marriage, Nathan began to mock me more frequently. Ah, must be nice for you. Just playing around at home every day. I've told you, I'm investing in stocks. And I'm running a baking class, you know that. Such play-like things can hardly be called a job. And the cakes and macarons you make aren't tasty at all. Saying this, Nathan went off to work. I noticed that Nathan's mood had been off lately. He had hired David, a junior from his pastry chef days. At first, both worked hard in a competitive spirit, but it seems Nathan disliked that David was starting to be recognized in the pastry world. Being in a supervisory position can often be stressful. I tried not to worry about Nathan while preparing for my next baking class. No way, is that Sherry? Kristen. Long time no see. Suddenly, my old friend Kristen Ford, who had approached me from behind, was there. In high school, she actively talked to me, an introvert, and taught me the ropes of youth. After graduating, she married and moved out of the state. But she had a bad marriage and divorced, then returned. I've been so bored lately, with nothing to do. Why don't you try baking? I'm running a baking class. Only if you're interested, though. Inviting her to the baking class turned out to be a mistake, I now strongly feel. Kristen changed her tone as soon as she visited my house. Wow, Sherry, your house is amazing. And that kitchen with the latest equipment. You caught a rich husband, huh? Well, it's not really like that. Oh, stop being so modest. Indeed, as she taught in the class, Kristen, who was naturally skilled, improved rapidly. Amazing, you've already mastered macaron making? I used to bake cakes often in the past. But more importantly, isn't your husband a professional pastry chef? Can't I learn directly from him? After attending a few classes, Kristen expressed her desire to be taught directly by Nathan. Indeed, although I had trained, Nathan could perhaps offer better advice than an amateur like me. Recently stressed, Nathan might find it mentally easier to teach a beginner. Hoping for this, I spoke to Nathan. I wanted a change of pace anyway. I'll make time this weekend. Thank you. And then, on the day of the event. Hello, sir, it's nice to meet you. I'm looking forward to today. Welcome. Sherry always tells me how much you help her. But living in such a luxury condo is amazing. Your husband is famous and earns well from his pâtisserie, it's really enviable. Praising me won't get you anything. Baking is delicate, so feel free to ask if there's anything you don't understand. Saying this, the two disappeared into the kitchen. I prepared the perfect tea for the cake. When I went to ask if they needed milk or sugar, they were chatting amiably. Nathan, you are so handsome. I'm envious of Sherry. Really? I'm embarrassed when a beautiful woman like you says that. Kristen is the same age as me but looks about 30 because she takes good care of herself. Nathan seemed really pleased to be praised by the beautiful Kristen. It was a face he rarely showed in front of me, which kind of irritated me. Moreover, when I entered, Nathan's face visibly soured. Do either of you want milk or sugar in your tea? What? Just figure that out yourself. I'm fine with whatever. Nathan, please start teaching me how to make sweets soon. Leaving me with these dismissive words, they started making sweets on the kitchen counter. It felt like they had entered their own world, and I began to feel a sense of rejection toward me. Today, I taught you the basics of cookies and how to make macarons. Think you can do it at home? If you have any questions, feel free to come again. Thank you. I'm so dumb, I might have to ask you many times. No problem at all. Actually, why don't you come to my pâtisserie? I'll make time for you. Nathan, you're so kind. I wish Nathan was my husband. Kristen was leaning on Nathan and being flirty. I coughed to get their attention, and although they hastily separated, I wondered if Kristen had always been so oblivious to personal boundaries. This discomfort swelled up even more during a phone call that night. Seriously, Nathan is such a nice guy. And a handsome pâtissier is hard to come by. Thank you. Nathan and I met at the pâtisserie. I wish I could remarry someone like him. A handsome pâtissier is something to brag about to anyone, right? I flinched at these words. Kristen is frank, so she might talk like this to anyone. But, maybe it's a woman's intuition, I felt that Nathan might be swayed by Kristen. However, there's no proof of that, and I can't just accuse Kristen of being that kind of woman outright. Above all, she's supposed to be my best friend and shouldn't betray me. I tried to act normal while feeling uneasy. One day, while at the sweets class, Kristen approached me with a box. Inside were colorful macarons and iced cookies. While the amateur flaws were still visible, she had clearly improved. Wow, that's impressive. Not many can make these. Really? Maybe the tips Nathan taught me worked. Hey, can we eat these together with Nathan? I want a professional's opinion. Okay. I'll serve them tonight. Kristen smiled happily at my response. That evening, after the pâtisserie closed, Nathan came home as usual. Welcome back, you must be tired. Yeah. I need food and a bath. His attitude was completely different from when Kristen was around, cold as usual. Kristen made some macarons and cookies today. She really wants you to try them. Oh. If Kristen made them, I guess I'll try. Lately, he often complained about my cooking and left some untouched, but he devoured Kristen's sweets. He always criticized everything I made, but this time it was different. Well, if it's argued that cooking and baking are significantly different, then that's all there is to it. Nathan, do you really like these sweets so much? Kristen will be pleased. Indeed, the macaron dough was nicely baked and tasty. With more practice, it might even be good enough to sell at the shop. I enjoyed Kristen's sweets, but Nathan made an incredibly mean comment. Kristen's macarons are ridiculously delicious. It's amazing how different the result can be depending on who makes them. Unlike an old woman like you with more wrinkles, someone ambitious like Kristen makes it delicious. What do you mean by that? I usually ignored his sarcastic remarks, but this time I couldn't let it slide. I confronted Nathan. Because it tastes so good when a cute and beautiful woman makes it. You should try harder. That's no way to talk, is it? Come on, it was just a light joke. Don't take it so seriously. Nathan turned away from me with an utterly annoyed expression, but my heart trembled at his harsh words. Certainly, Kristen is youthful and more beautiful than the plain me. But that's no excuse for such remarks. Maybe Nathan, with his recent work stress, couldn't manage without lashing out. Thinking this, I suppressed my anger and silently cleared the dishes after eating. 3 weeks later, it seemed Kristen had started going to Nathan's patisserie, and she happily talked about it at the sweets class. I'm being taught directly by that handsome pâtissier. Recently, he praised my improvement. Oh, sorry, this is irrelevant to everyone else here. Her attitude had changed like this. Moreover, Kristen started visiting our home frequently, targeting the times Nathan was present. It just didn't sit right with me that Nathan welcomed her. It's such a waste not to show off this amazing luxury condo. Perhaps influenced by Kristen's words, I invited David over and boasted about it whenever I had the chance. This condo has its own wine cellar. It's nothing like the cheap pubs you go to. Well, a wine cellar would be impossible for you in a lifetime. You're amazing, sir. That's beyond me. And look outside, people look like ants. They'll probably crawl around at the bottom their whole lives. Perhaps wanting to assert his superiority in front of David, who felt inferior, Nathan continued to act arrogantly, oblivious to the cold look in David's eyes. Feeling uncomfortable, I spoke to David when Nathan was not around. I'm sorry for Nathan's rude behavior. No, I don't mind. The food is delicious. But honestly, the times when we used to buy discounted vegetables at the cheap supermarket and made hot pot together during my rookie years tasted better. Nathan was unaware that his junior felt this way. From that day, Nathan started behaving even more arrogantly. Hey, did you go to that cheap supermarket again? We are a high-class family, it's embarrassing, so stop it. That's right. Nathan works hard and earns well, it's sad to see him eat such low-quality meat. Nathan would frown unhappily whenever he checked my purchases or receipts. Kristen added her complaints to it. It's surprising how much she poked her nose into another person's household affairs. What I hated the most was Kristen coming to Nathan for advice and their growing camaraderie in making condescending remarks. There was someone in today's baking class who is struggling so much they're working multiple part-time jobs. They don't even know they're being looked down upon by the wealthy, just working hard like worker ants. Exactly, they'll never escape their poor lives. Just pity them, Kristen. At some point, Nathan started calling Kristen by her first name only. Moreover, Nathan began coming home later and spending nights out more frequently. Worried, I asked him, and he said it was because developing new cakes took time. However, there shouldn't be a shower booth at the patisserie, yet his clothes oddly smelled like soap. Hey, you always smell like soap, where have you been? Ah, I freshen up at a spa on the way home. Don't ask every little thing, it's creepy. An old woman's meddling is annoying. The conversation forcefully ended there. Until now, I had refrained from interfering too much with Kristen and Nathan. But they were making fun of students from my class and David, an important junior to Nathan. Something had to be done. Kristen, my students each have their own circumstances, so please don't say anything disrespectful. Huh? You care about that? Firstly, such poor people shouldn't even come to a baking class. Oh, I decided to be taught exclusively by Nathan, so I'm not coming to your class anymore. Kristen had become completely selfish, reacting angrily instead of reflecting on her words. Seeing no hope in Kristen, I decided to speak with Nathan. Hey, your attitude lately has been too bad. You didn't use to look down on people like this, right? It's disrespectful to David. Huh? Why should I care about that guy? It's his fault for trying to surpass me without making an effort. Stop it. Also, you're too close to Kristen. It's disgusting to see you act like lovers when you're a married man. Shut up, an old lady who can't even keep herself beautiful shouldn't talk back. Kristen is 100 times better. Don't touch me, it's gross. Nathan slapped my hand away. The sting of the pain in my hand was nothing compared to how cold my heart was growing. Then, one day, I'm home. Look, Nathan, Sherry's back. What a nuisance, you interrupted a good moment. When I returned from the cooking class, the two of them came out to the entrance. Huh, why is Kristen here? And both of you, in that outfit. It was Nathan's day off from the patisserie, so it was natural for him to be home. But Kristen usually informed me when she was coming over. Yet, there they were, elegantly tipping wine glasses. What baffled me the most was that both were in bathrobes. My mind raced, and one word surfaced. Infidelity. Nathan and Kristen were in that kind of relationship. Despite my suspicions, I had continued to believe Kristen was my close friend. But what was thrust before me was a cruel reality. What's going on here? Isn't it obvious? This is what's happening. Just took a shower. I had fun with your husband. I couldn't understand. You really are clueless. Can't help it, Sherry's always been slow. Basically, we're together. You're no longer qualified to be Nathan's wife. She revealed their affair triumphantly. Why? Weren't we friends? Friends? You were just a placeholder until I caught a rich, handsome husband. Kristen pushed me away with a half smile. Yet, half in denial, I looked at Nathan for confirmation. Is it true? Did you really betray me? Even though you have a wife? That's what I'm saying. You've become a preachy old woman, and it's not fun to be with you at all. I'm a great pastry chef, and I can't stand having an old lady like you as my wife. Sherry is finished as a woman. Of course, Nathan would hate that. Ever heard of punching above your weight? So, I'm planning to remarry Kristen. That's why I want you to divorce me. His words implied he wasn't to blame. The audacity to confess infidelity so brazenly. As I clenched my fists, shaking, Kristen added insult to injury, looking down on me. A famous patisserie manager like Nathan deserves better than you. I'll take your luxury condo and your husband. We're going to enjoy our newlywed life, so you better get out of here fast. Witnessing the betrayal of my beloved husband and my dear friend, I was dumbfounded. They were laughing at me with utter contempt. I had turned a blind eye until now, but I couldn't take it anymore. Moreover, they were both greatly mistaken. Especially Kristen, who thought she had stolen Nathan. I was trembling, clutching my stomach. Oh no, she's crying, Nathan, that's so mean. Can't help it, right? Hey, stop crying and don't show that ugly face. Thinking I was devastated and crying, they were confused to see me laughing. The house is in my name. And I won't forgive being ridiculed like this. It's time to fight back. As I lifted my face, they looked shocked. I'm not crying. It's a full grin. And from my throat bursts a raucous laugh. What are you laughing at? I don't get it. Has she finally gone crazy? No, I'm not crazy at all. Kristen, fine, you can have him. But this house, I won't give up. Stunned by my laughter, their expressions turned grave. They don't realize that the future of a luxury condo and a blissful life won't be coming for them, and their overconfidence is hilariously absurd. Huh? I'm the owner, so Nathan has no right to do anything with the condo. It seems you weren't informed, but Nathan is actually my adopted son-in-law. My parents financed the opening and operation of the patisserie. I thought it indelicate to mention it, but Nathan isn't the breadwinner. Adopted son-in-law? Don't say stupid things. That's a lie, right, Nathan? Kristen hurriedly questioned Nathan, but he was shifty-eyed, unable to look straight. My parents are ultra-wealthy, having built their fortune young. The family land was sold for new train lines, turning into a $200 million windfall. They were always practical and didn't squander the money but managed it even more carefully than before. When sudden wealth comes, people often change. Money is scary. Don't be careless, use it wisely and sparingly. He used to instill this in me. However, they never skimped on my dreams or education, enabling me to learn adequately. I learned asset management from my parents, doing stock investments and real estate management. But knowing the troubles wealth can attract, I've been cautious with money as my parents taught. Thanks to that, my assets have increased significantly through inherited real estate investments. But as a thanks for becoming an adopted son-in-law and a wedding gift, my parents gave us the luxury condo. Become the best pâtissier in Japan, work hard. He supported Nathan's dream and even assisted with the patisserie. And this is the result. Nathan, you haven't forgotten you're an adopted son-in-law, have you? My parents helped us because of that. He seemed to finally remember, uncomfortable shifting his gaze left and right. He'd gotten carried away thinking he achieved everything on his own. But now that it's come to this, I'm confiscating the condo and the patisserie. Huh? What do you mean? You've been letting me handle the patisserie's management because you said you didn't understand it. Haven't you looked at the accounts at all? Just maintaining a proper shop in LA costs a fortune. Nathan had left the management entirely to me, remaining naive about finances. I tried to teach him when expenses like ingredient costs spiked, but he always dismissed it as a hassle. Just figure it out and take care of it. Don't damage my brand. So, I had no choice but to cover the losses myself. Kristen, left out of the loop, was shaking. So, Nathan doesn't have any money? That's not what you said. Well, he might even owe compensation. By the way, the one with money is me. My assets are probably around $190 million. $190 million? Hearing my net worth, Kristen's eyes nearly popped out. But Nathan laughed. If I'm an adopted son, it's all good. What? Because if I'm your adopted son, even if we divorce, I can inherit your father's estate, right? That'll bring in a lot of money. Your dad praised my cakes and even came forward to make the adoption official. Plus, the shop can't run without me. How could this man be so foolish? How could he think my father would side with an adopted son who disregards his daughter? Above all, considering my father's death as a given was absolutely unforgivable. Whatever, if you want this condo, buy it from me. It'll cost several hundreds of thousands, you know. No problem, I'll pay whatever. Maybe I'll even pay the compensation in one go. That's right. Because I'm the one who will be a celebrity. Their minds thoroughly twisted to fit their convenience. I sighed and made a call to somewhere necessary. Given the situation, I'm going to make sure they both thoroughly fall into hell. I won't be satisfied until they pay for trampling all over me. Plus, they seem to have forgotten the most important thing. A few hours later, I met up with a certain person and headed back to the condo. Oh look, the loser has come back. What now, you're so persistent. They greeted me with a condescending attitude, but their faces changed when they saw the person behind me. It's been a while, Nathan. I've heard everything from my daughter, father, and David. Sir, I'm disappointed to see that this is who you truly are. Nathan is weak in front of my father. My father is particularly strict about money and morals, which seems suffocating to Nathan. He was visibly disturbed as my father pressed him. What kind of person are you? I'm canceling the adoption. What? But father, you supported me. That was because I thought you would cherish my daughter. Did you really think you could stay adopted after doing this? Nathan's momentum completely faltered under my father's rebuke. Kristen seemed confused by Nathan's weak response. But, you can't just end an adoption like that. I'll fight this in court if I have to. How shameless you are after committing such faults. Just so you know, you would lose if it goes to court. I confronted Nathan with my smartphone. I've recorded everything we've talked about. There's no escaping it now. But, wait, there's the division of assets. You have $190 million, so I should get at least $100 million. I thought you'd say that. But that was my premarital asset. Of course, I've earned since then too, but that's from my own abilities, so it won't be split with you. Nathan was agape, his plan to secure $100 million thwarted. Also, while the patisserie is in your name, the land is rented from my father. If you want to continue there, you'll need to buy the land. It's prime LA property, so it's going to be expensive. Otherwise, you'll need to relocate the shop. Nathan's patisserie was in a location popular with foreign tourists, and being unable to operate there would be a severe blow. Especially since Nathan had been slacking in his cake-making efforts, leaving everything to David. He used to practice making meringues every day. And if you want to live in the luxury condo, you'll need to buy it or pay a monthly rent. It'll be over $10,000 a month, but it's a small price for such a coveted location, right? How can I possibly pay that much? What, you said you were wealthy and could afford a celebrity lifestyle. Was that all a lie? Our plans are ruined. Kristen was gaping, seemingly on the verge of tears. I'm disappointed in you. But, if you give up the shop, I won't ask for the land payment. What will happen to the patisserie? I can't run it without me. That's why I'm asking David. I've tasted his cakes, and they are very delicious. Your cakes used to be delicious, but not anymore. So, David will be the new manager. Nowadays, Nathan's shop might seem busy with new customers, but it has few repeat visitors. Regulars from the past have stopped coming, saying the taste has changed. Clearly, Nathan's cakes now suffer from his negligence. You thief! Are you trying to steal my shop? Hey, Sherry. Even if we divorce, keep sponsoring me. Don't be absurd. Why should I fund a cheater who betrayed me with my best friend? As Nathan and I argued, a shriek cut through the air. What is this? I quit my job. You said you had money, but I was completely deceived. Kristen was freaking out as she faced one shocking truth after another, repeatedly screaming that she had been tricked. What? Were you just after my money? Of course. You think I'd deal with your arrogance just because you're somewhat handsome? The worst part is taking on more compensation. What do you mean by that? Kristen had claimed her last marriage ended because her husband treated her poorly. But in reality, she had cheated, and both her ex-husband and his wife had demanded compensation from her. Kristen planned to marry Nathan and use his wealth to pay off her debts and live a luxurious life in a fancy condo. Since the wealth was actually mine, her plans completely backfired. She had even racked up huge debts buying luxury brands and frequenting beauty salons, assuming she'd marry Nathan. What? You were such a dirty woman. Shut up. I don't need a penniless Nathan anymore. Hey, Sherry. I'll give this back, so please don't sue me for compensation. And could you lend me some money? We're friends, right? No way. I'll definitely be filing a claim since you caused the divorce. They continued to rant, dissatisfied. I had reached my limit. What hurt the most was that neither of them had apologized even once. I thought you were the ideal husband. I thought you were my best friend. Don't underestimate the cost of crushing that heart. Don't make light of me. I raised my voice louder than ever. Kristen flinched, and Nathan crumbled to his knees. The three of us left the luxury condo to discuss the patisserie with David. Sherry, you still love me, right? Don't do something as cruel as suing for compensation. As Nathan approached, trembling, I brushed off his hand. Don't touch me. You're disgusting. It seemed Nathan realized he was being served back the very words he had once thrown at me. Eventually, lawyers were involved, and Nathan was disowned by my father and we divorced. As promised, I sued them both for compensation. They had to take out loans to pay it off in one lump sum. Naturally, Nathan and Kristen were no longer able to live in the luxury condo and had to leave. Afterward, through my lawyer, I kept up with their situations. Nathan's patisserie was handed over to David, and Nathan found employment at another shop to pay off the compensation. However, due to his pride as a former manager, he couldn't stand working under someone else and continuously destroyed his work relationships. His bad reputation spread within the same industry, and he struggled to find re-employment. As for Kristen, she sought help from her family, but after her repeated failures following her previous marriage, they finally disowned her. She also persistently sent me emails requesting financial aid without going through a lawyer. Sherry, you have so much money, it's fine. I just wanted to try living a celebrity lifestyle. Please, I really have no money. I even borrowed from a shady lender. If this continues, I'll have to take a job I hate, help me. Aren't we best friends? I received emails daily, detailing how Kristen's situation was deteriorating. The old me might have been swayed, but now, my heart remains unmoved. Occasionally, I visit David's shop, where he has renewed the old place and introduced new cakes. Moreover, David, who never slacks off, has managed to bring back regular customers and turn new ones into regulars. One day, as I was visiting David's shop as usual, the door suddenly opened, and my ex-husband Nathan barged in wearing tattered clothes and emitting a foul smell. He looked emaciated, his clothes in tatters, his head full of dandruff. The atmosphere changed instantly, and all the customers frowned upon seeing him. Nathan, what are you doing here? It's all your fault. My life is a mess because of you. Everyone's mocking me. Mumbling to himself with vacant eyes, it was clear he was not in a good state. Seeing the gravity of the situation, David let Nathan into the office. There, Nathan suddenly made an outrageous demand. Sherry. Give me $1 million. What? You have money, right? It's just $1 million. I'll use that money to make a comeback. It seemed Nathan had lost his ability to think rationally. To think that $1 million was a small amount showed he didn't understand the value of money. As I was stunned by his absurdity, Nathan grabbed my shoulder. Stop it. Give it to me. I'm telling you to give it. Sir. Please stop. David tried to pull Nathan away from me, and they scuffled. Soon after, the police, called by the staff, rushed in and took Nathan away. Nathan didn't come to the shop again after being thoroughly dealt with. Through my lawyer, I was informed that Nathan would no longer contact me, but considering what might happen, I decided to hire a security company. It was a lesson in how desperate people can become. I continue my usual life, living in the luxury condo and managing my investments while running the suites classes. With Nathan gone, I remodeled the room to add more kitchens and hired like-minded people to increase the frequency of the suites classes. We collaborated on new ideas for suites, and the good ones ended up being sold at David's shop for a limited time. The number of students increased, and the class thrived with a lively atmosphere. Amid the sweet scents and the cheerful ambience, I found myself appreciating my happiness anew.